Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. All right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming. Oh, I did forget. You can just put your first name. I just trying to get a head count of who's here. So and then attendance. I forgot to do. Okay. How is everyone? Yay! Better with food. Yay! Everything's better with food. Yay! Well, welcome to FGCU Storytelling. Thank you for joining us. I want to say a word of gratitude to the Wasmer Art Center here. Yay! They generously host us in the evenings here. The gallery is open normally to the public. I think it's from 10 to 4 every day, and they open after hours for our story events. Let's see, tomorrow is the last day of this exhibit. It is a rotating gallery, so the next time you come in, the walls will have moved, they'll be painted different colors, and all kinds of things will be going on. So I hope you will come back to this gallery and see the exhibit again and again. A little bit about this exhibit. This is Morgan Payne. He is an art professor here. He's retiring this year. And I think he's one of the founding faculty, actually, which is pretty cool. This is his exhibit, sort of stretching the boundaries of art. He's using golden regular gel gloss. These are all the containers. And this is an exhibit in progress. Every day he still comes in and he adds to this. So he adds more to all of the pieces. And this piece, it's kind of a study in time. He puts a layer of that gloss, and it has to dry before he can put another layer of gloss and another layer of gloss until this hole will eventually fill in when he keeps putting layers on day after day. So it's quite amazing. And then this other side shows another thing that he's done. He has to put a layer, let it dry, in order for it to come out towards us. So you can see the ways that he's used the gel gloss, but also how he's used here a bed frame. So he's taken pieces that perhaps are no longer useful, like the dishwasher trays over there, and added some interest to them. The piece in the back here is fascinating. It's a calendar. So each of those blocks represent a day, starting with January way on the left side and February below it and going across. And then I think those are 2x4s, yeah. 2 inches, 4 inches, yeah. So he's got dates written on them, starting from the left at the top, going all the way down, all the way across. So it's an exhibit that keeps moving. Every time he adds to the painting of the blocks, he puts the date that he did it, and he will take the block that corresponds to that date on the calendar, and he will apply another layer somehow. So it's an exhibit that tells us about time. So I hope you'll take some time and enjoy the exhibit and enjoy the stretching the boundaries of art and painting here. All right. So, speaking of time, it's time to start. I want to also thank the Seidler Foundation for supporting the events as well. They are responsible for bringing us some food and helping our storytellers out. So, round of applause. As well, I want to thank our storytellers today. I am part of the Tamiami Tale Tellers. Please say that out loud. Tamiami Tale Tellers. Faster. One more time. Oh, you're so good. This is great. Tamiami Tale Tellers. We are a local guild in Fort Myers, and we meet once a month on the third Thursday of the month. And just sit around and informally swap stories. If you come once, you remember. So just come on by. We have no dues. We meet at All Faiths Church on McGregor. And we'll tell you, we'll weave in more about that if you're interested as well. It's a great place to come and share and swap stories. We dust off our old stories and present them again, and we'll dust off new ones to present to folks. Woo. And it's also a place where a bunch of fun listeners come. Now, storytelling is an art where, if one of the storytellers brings a cute little puppy on stage, what do you do? Oh, you're so good. And if they tell one of those jokes that you just can't stop laughing, you'll get better. And let's see. Okay, I want to see your best surprised face. That was good. That was good. All right. So I'm excited to introduce the Tamiami Tale Tellers. I'm Dr. Joel. I teach Storytelling is Healing here among some other classes with storytelling. And so my class is here as well. Let's give them a round of applause. They just told their personal stories, and we're working on folk tales next. We're working on history stories, and we're going to have a showcase at the end of the semester. And they're so excited about that, to share their work with you. Some of them are like, we're so excited. But some amazing, wonderful talent, so I'm excited for them. All right. Well, I want to get the show on the road and introduce our MC for the evening. Are you all ready? Yeah. Okay. So say it one more time. Tamiami Tale Tellers. Tamiami Tale Tellers. Oh, good. So our first storyteller and MC for the night, who will be guiding us through the journey of our stories, is Lisa Lenhart. Now, Lisa is a retired fourth grade elementary school teacher from Tice Elementary. She is, you're born here in Fort Myers. She is born and bred and from this place. It's amazing. So ask her about the history of this place. She's seen it grow and expand. And she has told stories to anyone who will listen. She's gotten that from her father, she tells me, and she's passing that tradition on. And she's going to tell us a little bit more about herself and a little bit more about the Tamiami Tale Tellers. Please welcome Lisa Lenhart.
I don't really need to say anything more about myself, but and the Tamiami Tale Tellers will be here after to tell you all about it. So I'm just going to start with a story. And I do want to say with the Tamiami Tale Tellers, if you want to know about each of their histories, see them after the show, because they will be glad to tell you. And I do want to say one thing about that art piece over there that has the dates from 81 all the way to now. It is actually now, if you've been I didn't get down because I thought I might not be able to get up, but the current date is down there. So it's like, wow, it is to the present. All right. So once, long ago, in a faraway kingdom, a queen gave birth to her first child, a boy. And a few minutes later, she gave birth to another boy, identical to the first. Twins. Well, the king and queen were so overjoyed that they had two healthy boys that they forgot to mark the one that had been born first, the rightful heir to the kingdom someday. So what were they going to do? Well, the queen said, we should call for the wise man. Now, you need to know that this was not just a wise man. He was also a powerful wizard. And they called for the wise man because the queen was sure that he would have an answer. Well, the wise man came in and he examined both boys very carefully. They were identical. And he could not tell which one was born. That was even beyond a wizard's doing. And so the king was like, well, what am I going to do? And the wise man said, oh, your majesty, you are a wise king. You will find the answer. And in that moment, he did. I will use merit. I will watch my sons grow, and I will determine which one deserves to be the king someday. Well, Prince Llewellyn and Prince Owen were given all of the same advantages. They had the best tutors, the best trainers that in this land, and they even brought some people from abroad to teach. And unfortunately, they both excelled in everything equally. They were both terrific at academics, in the arts, sports, in soldiering. There was no way to determine which one would make the best king. Well, the queen said, as they approached adulthood, maybe we need to call for the wise man again. And the wise man was brought in. And the wise man again said, I cannot tell you which one of your sons was born first, but I can devise a test. What kind of test? Well, I can bring from the future 4 of the finest storytellers they have. And your sons will listen to these stories, and then you will ask the question, what did you learn from that story? And I believe through their answers, you will be able to determine which one of these princes should be the king someday. Well, the princes were brought in, the rules were explained, and then the wizard said, I will bring you from a place far in the future, the year 2025, in the New World, a place called Florida Gulf Coast University, 4 Tamiami tale-tellers. And the first one, her name is Mary Charles, and she's going to tell you a personal story, discovering New York. Listen carefully. Mary Charles!
Having just turned 21, not this year, and clutching my newly minted Bachelor of Arts diploma, I decided I needed to leave the safety and comfort of Nashville, Tennessee, my hometown, and discover the world. I was offered a job in New York City, a dream job to me just because it was set in New York City. It was in the worst ghetto of the 5 boroughs, the neighborhood of East New York in Brooklyn, where everyone was poor and no one had any advantages at all. And my job was to take young children, young girls, and help them enrich themselves, not monetarily, but in terms of discovery. I took them to parks. They had never seen green spaces with grass and trees. I took them to museums. They had never known art. I brought them back home and helped them learn to spell and read and do math, because the school system was not set up to individually teach people. In turn for my guidance, they taught me double Dutch jump rope. I thought that was a great exchange. A few years later, after that year in New York of discovery, I was living in Dayton, Ohio, and the man that I loved said, let's leave the safety and comfort of Dayton, Ohio, and go discover New York. I said, sure, I can do that. I've done it before. So he packed up his little orange Volkswagen, called up our friend Jim, who lived in the East Village of Manhattan, and asked if we could live with him for a while until we could find a place of our own. Jim said, sure, come on up. So we arrived at Jim's corner, at the corner of 7th Street and Avenue D, which had just that week been described by the New York Times as the meanest street in America. We were going to live there. So Jim took us up to his apartment, which was adorned with 4 vertical deadbolt locks, which seemed to me excessively secure. Brought us into the apartment. The first room in the apartment was the kitchen. It was equipped sparingly with a very old refrigerator, a nearly as old cast iron gas stove, and on the other side of the room, strangely, a cast iron bathtub, right out in public. A little closet on the side contained a toilet, and the rest of the apartment was a couple of little bedrooms and a living room. Jim sat us down in the living room and said, the first thing you need to know is we are living in a squat. Do you know what a squat is? It's when you occupy a space that does not belong to you, that you have not gained permission from the person it does belong to live in. So we were squatters in an apartment that we did not have permission to live in. The reason for that is several years earlier, New York City had had a financial crisis, and many landlords of big apartment buildings were unable to pay their city taxes, and they just walked away. They emptied the apartments out and left the buildings empty, which gave an opportunity for the unhoused to move in, which we had just done. We were squatters. Did you ever see the movie or the play Rent, about some young artists in New York? They lived on my street. This was a few years after I was there, but you know the visual. That's where we were. Well, it was necessary, obviously, for Red and I to get jobs in order that we could eventually get out of the unhoused situation. Red was native Norwegian, and he got a job as editor of the Norwegian American newspaper in New York. Perfect job for him. I got a job that was probably not as perfect for me. I was hired as the assistant to the creative director of the luxury cosmetics company, Elizabeth Arden. Now, the reason it was not entirely suitable for me was that I did not dress the part of an employee in a very prestigious environment. I had my dowdy Middle America clothing. Did not look elegant. I was just a little girl from Nashville. So my boss, Paulette Dufault, the creative director at Elizabeth Arden, took me one day to her apartment in Greenwich Village, threw open her wardrobe, and started hauling out these beautiful garments, things I had never seen before, much less touched or tried on. They were designer fashions by Chanel, Armani, Chloe, Lagerfeld. I would never have been able to even touch one, much less try it on and take it home with me. But Paulette said, if you can wear it, it's yours. So I suddenly felt as if I could pass for a young executive in Midtown Manhattan. I had the wardrobe, and so I faked the rest of it. Often in the evenings, we young employees were invited or commanded to go to evening affairs, charity events and so forth, and mix with very important society people in New York. We would go to the Waldorf Astoria or the Four Seasons and mingle with the socialites of New York. Afterwards, we would all be sent home in limos. Now, I've told you about the street I lived on. There was never a limo on that street until I began coming home at night in a limo. I can imagine that the people who watched from corners, this was a dicey neighborhood. The major enterprise was drug sales and other nefarious things, which I didn't need to know about. But there were people watching from all corners of the street as I got out of the limo in my finery and walked into that squat. I suspect they thought I was either a call girl or a spy. I was sort of impressed with myself that they would think of me at all. You know, we were the only white people in the neighborhood, and they were very polite to us, treated us with respect, but did not try to get to know us because we were different. We lived in that apartment for several months until suddenly, one evening, thugs violently invaded our building, beat up Red and Jim, called out for all the inmates of that apartment to get out. Everyone in the building needed to leave now. We own this building now. You get out now. You see what we did to Red and Jim, we'll do it to the rest of you if you don't leave. Well, the first thing Red did was hit the road. He got out on the street, turned left, heading toward a bar on the corner of 7th Street and Avenue B by the name of Vazak's. Vazak's, it is said, was the first bar to open after the end of Prohibition. So it was kind of a landmark, and it was beautiful in its way. It had mahogany paneled walls, a beautiful horse-shaped mahogany bar. It was a thing of beauty, which had not seen a dust rag or a pledge in 50 years, probably. It was faded glory, but it was kind of a nice, cozy place. So Red was headed to see Al Hudson, who owned Vazak's bar. Al Hudson was the only other white person in the neighborhood, but he knew everything. He knew who was about to get out of jail, who knew who was about to go into jail, he knew who was in trouble with his wife, he knew everything. And so Red figured that Al would know if there was an apartment available that we could move into right away. So on his way down to see Al Hudson, Red was stopped by an NYPD patrol car on suspicion of a violent assault in the building down the street. This would have been funny had it not been sort of tragic. Of course, there had been a violent assault in the building down the street. However, it was not perpetrated by Red. It was perpetrated upon him by some thugs down the street. So Red sat in the back seat saying nothing, smiling benignly through his cracked lip, and suddenly a group of 10 or 12 or more street people surrounded that patrol car and got right in the patrolman's face and said, get him out of that car. He's not the trouble. He's a good guy. His name is Red. He does nothing but good. Let him go. Get after the thugs down the street. Well, the patrolman, being a young guy, had some wisdom. He recognized that he was vastly outnumbered, and with an almost apologetic shrug, he opened the door and allowed Red to go on his way down to Vazak's pub. On arrival there, Al Hudson said, "What can I do for you, Red?" Handed him a cold rolling rock and a clean bar rag to stanch the flow of blood, and Red said, "I need a place to live, and I need it now." Al Hudson said, "No problem. I know of an apartment that came up for rent 3 doors away. You can move in tomorrow if you have the money." We had the money. We had been saving for this for several months. Didn't expect to be evicted with such violence, but we were ready. The next day, we moved to this little apartment, which was equally awful to the squat. The bathtub was in the kitchen. The toilet was in a tiny closet. It had roaches. The roof leaked. It was just as bad as the squat, but we paid rent. We had a lease. We were legitimate citizens of New York, finally. We lived there for another year and went out and bought a house by the edge of the sea and resumed our sort of picked up normal living again after that experience in the East Village. But those 2 experiences for me, one in East New York, Brooklyn, with the children, the second one in the slums of Manhattan in the East Village, taught me that you don't judge people by how much they have and how they look. You judge people by how they behave toward you. That's a lesson for us all to know forever. Thank you.
Well, the wizard sent Mary Charles back to 2025. And the king asked Prince Llewellyn, "What did you learn from that story?" And Prince Llewellyn said, "Well, you know, as the possible future king, I need to think about making sure everybody has a safe home. Nobody should be homeless or be afraid of where they live." The king nodded, and then asked, Prince Owen, what did you learn? Well, I think maybe if I just put the crown on, I can fake the rest. I learned that from the story. The king didn't know what to say, but the wizard went ahead and called forth the next storyteller. He said, I bring to you from 2025, the storyteller Pam Minton. She's going to tell you a personal story. No parts too small. Oh, Pam Minton.
There are no small parts. That is what Sister Immaculata would say at every new rehearsal of the St. Savior Drama Club. Now, I was a member, and it was my sophomore year of high school, and Sister Immaculata was my inspiration. She was an octogenarian, 5 feet tall, wizened like a prune, but such charisma. She taught us not only drama, but she taught us English literature and could quote poetry just off the top of her head with such beauty and gestures and vocal intonations. And she really did a great job with our drama club. So in 1961, we had the opportunity of having 3 one-act plays. Now, this meant that we had 3 opportunities to be leading ladies. And I had visions of wearing a beautiful costume and wearing the jewelry that came with any of the leading ladies. And that was my real hope. Well, we all had auditions, and then 3 days later, the cast was posted on the bulletin board, and we all were so nervous looking at it and thinking, which part did I get? And much to my disappointment, I was not only not a leading lady, I was the only male part in the whole cast, probably because I was the most flat-chested in the whole group. And my costume, this is somewhat like it, was not a beautiful one, as you can see. It was overalls, a tool belt. It wasn't pink. It wasn't pink. A cap, boots, ugly boots. I didn't have any uglier than this. And it was just so humiliating, but it was a part, So I went home and I was complaining to my mom, I didn't get a really good part. I got the only male part, Mr. Wipoli, a gardener. And my mom said, listen, take the best and do your best. You know, many of the leading ladies of Hollywood started and were recognized by their supportive acting part, like Marilyn Monroe, for instance, 1950. She starred in All About Eve and The Asphalt Jungle, not starred, supported the star. So that catapulted her to fame and fortune. There was a glimmer of hope in me. Marilyn Monroe made it. Well, we really looked forward to these opportunities that this presented. And I thought, I'll do my best. Even though it's not what I wanted, I'll do the best I can. Well, we had rehearsal on Thursday for the plays that would be presented the following weekend. And we had to set up behind the curtain all the sets in order of their appearance. And mine was a picket fence and little shrubbery and putting blocks so that they would be supported. And I told Sister Immaculata, this isn't very steady. And she said, no, the blocks will support it. No worries. It'll be okay. And so I took her word for it, and we went on. We were going on Saturday, and Saturday arrived, and it was really nervous because we were so excited. We were nervous about, would we remember to come in on time? Would we get our cues right? Would we be okay? And we were just on pins and needles. And so we went on, and the play was progressing, and everything was going fine, when for some reason the leading lady stepped back and the fence went down. And she got flustered, but she regained her footing, and Sister Immaculata pushed me out on stage. Oh, my big moment was coming. An impromptu dialogue was on the tip of my lips. And so I had to get up on the stage and make up what I was going to say. Oh, Madonna mia, Mr. Wipoli this and Mr. Wipoli that, and they never leave me alone, and I have to have espresso all day just to keep it going. And I just milked it to the max. And so I did my best, got the fence up, created a good environment for the rest of the play, thanks to me, to progress successfully. And so on it went. Now, between each of these 3 plays, there was a 10-minute intermission. And during that time, the audience would clap and would show, by way of applause, who they wanted to award the Best Actress to for the plays. And of course, I didn't think that I had a chance because of the leading ladies being so important in the plays. But when the end of the plays came and they were applauding, somebody stood up and said, "Hooray for Mr. Wipoli!" And I got a standing ovation. I couldn't believe it. And I was awarded the Best Actress Supporting Role of the season. And I have something. For real, for real. So Sister Immaculata told me there are no small parts in a play or in life. Always remember this night. I will, and I have the trophy to prove it.
The wizard sent Pam back to FGCU, and the king asked Prince Llewellyn, "So you heard the story that Pam Minton told. What did you glean from it?" Well, when she talked about no small parts, that they're all important, you know, that's the way it is in a kingdom. Every single person who has a job here, it's an important job, to the person that's sweeping, to the king. And the king nodded his head, and Prince Owen, "Oh, Father, I really stopped listening to the story. When they said girls were acting, only men can act. We don't allow girls to act. The new world is going to allow girls to act. I'm sorry I didn't listen to the story." The king was getting a little flabbergasted by this, but the contest went on. The wizard looked at the boys, and in his mind he was thinking, "I know who's going to be the next king." But he didn't say that. He just said, "I'm going to bring forth Mary Lou Williams. She's going to come tell you an original story called Being in the News. Oh, Mary Lou Williams.
Thank you, Lisa. To quote Shakespeare, some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. I am one of those people who didn't fit into any of those categories. But I had aspirations, so I became a storyteller. A storyteller needs stories, so I then became a writer in order to have stories to tell. I then became serious about the writing and had ambitions of someday being a published author. I asked a friend of mine what she thought of my chances, and she said she didn't feel qualified to give an opinion, that I should ask someone who was, like a fortune teller. I scoffed. I don't believe in such superstitious nonsense. She said it works even if you don't believe in it. Well, then I said it should work for me. I'll give it a try. So I Googled local fortune tellers, and I found a Madame Claire, voyant, gypsy fortune teller. They make the best kind, you know, they're the most accurate. She lived in a house on the outskirts of town. On the side of the house, on the wall of the house, was a painted sign, a hand with an eye on the palm. And above the painting was her name, Madame Claire Voyant. And underneath were the words, "I have been expecting you." Inside, the house was very dark, lit only by a light coming through a beaded glass curtain from another room. The curtains, the beads tinkled as Madame Claire ushered me through them into her inner sanctum. The light emanated from a crystal ball that sat in the middle of a round table. The scent of incense permeated the air. Madame Claire motioned me to sit down and took the seat opposite. "I see you have come. This a question, my dear." She knew that. "Madame Claire, I am a writer, but I have never been published. I have come to find out if I will ever be a published author." Said Madame Claire, gazing into her crystal ball. Ah, yes, I see you in print, yes. One day you will be in print, my dear. In print. I was elated. I would be a published author. But there are many books in print. "Madame Claire, will my book be a success?" Said Madame Claire, gazing again into her crystal ball. "Oh, yes, I see you in the news. Yes, you are someone who is in the news, my dear. In the news." In the news. This must mean my book is more than just a bestseller. This must mean it wins some kind of prestigious prize, like the Pulitzer Prize. "Madame Claire, does my book win the Pulitzer Prize?" Said Madame Claire, gazing once more into her crystal ball. "All that I can say is that I not only see you in the news, but in the headlines. Yes, you are someone who is in the headlines, my dear. In the headlines. In the headlines. This must mean my book wins something even more prestigious than the Pulitzer Prize. Why, that could only be the Nobel Prize. I win the Nobel Prize in Literature for my masterpiece, Wimpy, the cat with low self-esteem. I left Madame Claire's on cloud 9, even though I don't, of course, believe in such superstitious nonsense. But it works even if you don't believe in it. so all my dreams would come true anyway. All I had to do was sit back and wait for greatness to descend upon me. But a year later, it had not. I went back to Madame Claire. She stuck by her prognostications. Yes, she said, I still see it. There it is, in black and white. I see you getting wide newspaper coverage. You are front page news. It is written all over you, my dear. Well, why haven't I seen any evidence? Because, said Madame Claire, you have not done your part. You can't sit back and wait for things to happen. You have to make things happen. You have to seize the opportunity, then it presents itself. It will come when you least expect it, in a form that you will not recognize unless you keep your eyes and your mind open to seize the moment. Then it arrives, my dear. Yes, Madame Claire was right. It happened when I least expected it. There it was, right in front of me, in a dress shop in Naples. All I had to do was don the mantle of success, and all Madame Claire's predictions would come true. I seized the top you see before you, and here I am in print, in the news, in the headlines. I have wide newspaper coverage. I'm front page news. It's written all over me in black and white. Yes, Madame Claire's predictions were right. It was my interpretation of them that was wrong. And I can't blame Madame Claire for that. What she saw was what I got. Everything she said came true, literally. Yes, Madame Claire was right, and so was her advice. You can't sit back and wait for things to happen. You have to make things happen. So if I wanted my interpretation to come true, literally, I would have to make it happen. So I did. I self-published. Now I am in print in every sense of the word.
The wizard safely got Mary Lou Williams back to FGCU. And then the king looked at Prince Llewellyn and asked, so, what did you get from this story? And Prince Llewellyn said, well, there are several things. One, as a king, I can't just make all the decisions on my own. I do need to ask for help, just like the storyteller asked for help. It may be an oracle. It may be the wizard, the wise man. It may be a child. But when I ask for advice, the advice I get, I may not understand it completely at first. And I can't just sit back. As a king, I will have to act. I learned a lot from that story. And then the king asked his other son, Prince Owen, what did you learn? Again, the story, I was just so transfixed by this storyteller. I found her quite adorable. Wizard, do you think you could bring her back? I'd like to keep her. And the wizard said, no, there's no way. The future, we don't know what would happen if we kept her. So no. Well, then the wizard looked at the two sons, and he was now positive he knew who the next king would be. All right, princes, you have one more storyteller. This storyteller that I bring to you, his name is Dr. Joel Ying. He's going to tell you a story about a man who has no luck. It is a folk tale. Oh, Dr. Joel Ying.
There was a man who had no luck. Well, it's not that he had no luck. It's just that it was all bad. For example, every time he shaved himself, he cut himself. Every time he put butter or jam on his toast, it would fall with the jam side down. He had no luck. Every time he got into the bath, he would luxuriate, and the phone would ring. He would hop out, answer the phone, and it would be a telemarketer. He had no luck. Well, this went on and on and on, and finally one day he decided he was going to find out why he had no luck. He decided that he was going to find God and ask God why he had no luck and what he should do about it. And so he put on his hat and his coat, and he set off. And he walked, and he walked, and he walked, and he walked. And then he walked, and he walked, and he walked some more, and he was tired, and he saw a well, so he sat down. And that's when he heard, "Where are you going?" Well, he looked to the left, he didn't see anything. He looked to the right, and it was a wolf, the skinniest wolf he'd ever seen. "Where are you going?" "I'm going to find God and ask God why I have no luck and what I should do about it." "Oh. If you find God, could you ask him a question for me?" The man said he would. "Could you ask God why I have these pains in my stomach and what I should do about it?" The man said he would, and he got up. Bye-bye. And he walked, 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 and he came to a tree, and he was tired, so he sat down. And that's when he heard, "Where are you going?" He looked to the left, he didn't see anything. He looked to the right, he didn't see anything. He looked up, and it was the tree. "I'm going to find God and ask God why I have no luck and what I should do about it." "If you find God, could you ask him a question for me?" The man said he would. "Could you ask God why I have these pains in my roots and what I should do about it?" "Okay, bye-bye." And the man, he got up, and he walked, 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 and he walked all the way until he saw in the distance the prettiest girl he'd ever seen. But she was crying. When he came up to her, she said, "Sir, where are you going?" "I'm going to find God and ask God why I have no luck and what I should do about it." "If you find God, could you ask him a question for me?" And the man said he would. "Could you ask God why I have these pains in my chest and what I should do about it?" "Okay, bye-bye." And he walked, and he walked, and he walked, and he walked, and he kept walking and walking and walking, and he walked all the way to the edge of the world. And then he took a step back, and he called out, "God, are you out there? There. What do you want?" I was kind of wondering why I had no luck and, what I should do about it. "Well, it's not that you don't have any luck. You simply haven't found it yet. You just have to look for it." Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you, thank you. I met this wolf, and God gave him the answer. And I met this tree. God gave him the answer. And I met this girl. God gave him the answer. Thank you. Bye-bye. And he turned around, and he walked, 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 and he made it all the way back to that cottage. And in front of it was still the most beautiful girl he'd ever seen. But she was still crying. Sir, did you find God? Oh, yes. God says, it's not that I don't have any luck. I simply haven't found it yet. I just have to look for it. Oh, and did you ask him my question? Oh, yes. Yes. God says, the reason you have pains in your chest, it's because you're lonely. God says you should marry the first man that comes your way. Well, the girl, she thought about it, and she looked at the man, and she said, well, I have some money, and I have this cottage, and it's conveniently located near the edge of the world, and I think I like you. Would you marry me? And the man said, oh, no, there isn't time. I have to find my luck. Bye-bye. And he walked, and he walked, and he walked, and he walked, and he made it all the way back to that tree. And the tree said, did you find God? Oh, yes. God says, it's not that I don't have any luck. I simply haven't found it yet. I just have to look for it. Oh, did you ask God my question? Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, God says the reason you have pains in your roots, it's because long ago, someone buried a treasure underneath you. Oh. Well, said the tree, I have no arms to dig. If you would dig it up, you could have it. And the man said, oh, no, there isn't time. I have to find my luck. Bye-bye. And he walked, 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 and he walked. He made it all the way back to that well with that wolf, and the wolf said, did you find God? And the man said, oh, yes. God says, it's not that I don't have any luck. I simply haven't found it yet. I just have to look for it. Oh, did you ask God my question? Oh, yes. Yeah. God says the reason you have pains in your stomach, it's because you're hungry. God says you should eat the first fool that comes your way. And so the wolf ate the man, and that was the end of the man, and that is the end of the story.
And the wizard sent Dr. Joel Ying back to where he belonged. Prince Llewellyn, what did you learn from this story? Well, that certainly was a foolish man, and it's so easy to become foolish when you just think about yourself. So as a king, I need to, in everything I do, stop and ask myself, am I being the fool here? And Prince Owen, what did you glean from this story? I wonder if that girl's still there. Well, the wizard left the king to make his decision. And the king said, Prince Llewellyn, your answers, they were wise, thoughtful, kingly. But Prince Owen, what happened? Your answers were mostly ludicrous. Explain yourself. Oh, Father, I was just yanking your crown. I was trying to show you what a silly test this was. You know, you could have asked the right question, but you've never asked it. The right question, what is that? Which one of us wants to be the king? Oh, I never thought of that. Which one of you wants to be the king? And Prince Llewellyn raised his hand and said, Father, I would love to be the king someday, hoping that it will be a long time from now, but that is my wish. And Prince Llewellyn, what is your wish? Well, that I be considered a prince among men and the son of a great king, and someday the son or the brother of just as great a king. And so the king was able to make his decision. And he said, we didn't really need that test at all. We didn't have to have those storytellers. But wasn't it a marvelous event? Maybe I can do a little wizardry now. I'm going to say the name of each of those storytellers, and like magic, it will seem like you're looking at them again. Mary Charles. Pam Minton. Mary Lou Williams. And Dr. Joel Ying.
And Lisa Lenhart.
I so wanted that thunder to happen.
Oh, thank you, Lisa, for a fabulous weaving of a folktale in between with the MC. The MC holds us together, and thank you for that fun. How'd you think of our stories? Thank you. A round of applause. We do like to have a few moments just of a Q&A if you have any questions for our storytellers with any of their stories. So we had Discovering New York, Mary Charles, No Part Too Small, with Pam Minton, Mary Lou Williams with Being in the News, and myself with The Man with No Luck. Thoughts? Oh, and Lisa Lenhart with The Two Princes. Questions? Oh, okay.
I had a question for the third story. Did you buy your dress before you did the In the News, or did you think of it after?
That's such a good question. That's a story in itself. I went to Naples, a dress shop in Naples, and I saw this top. And I liked it, but I liked everything about it. I liked the way it fit me. I liked the style. I liked the material. But I didn't like the print. I thought the print was kind of ugly. But I liked everything else about it. And I'm driving, but I didn't buy it. And I'm driving home in my car, and I said, you know, if I had a story about a top like that, I could buy it, and I could use it, and I could make use of it. And I said, so I thought about how I could make a story based on this top. And I came up with Being in the News. And I thought about it all the way home. By the time I got home, I had the gist of the story. And I started writing it, and I said, oh, I think that'll work. So I said, I've got to go back to that dress shop. So I went back to the dress shop, and they didn't have it. And I said, oh my God, how can I get it? And I said, I want to order it. And they said, well, we'll see what we can do. So, and then I didn't know what size to get, because when I was in the store, I think it was, I tried on a medium, or I tried on a large, and it was too big. But anyway, I said, I don't know what size to get. So I said, maybe I should get a medium, but maybe a small, because it ran big. So I said, I'll get both. I'll order a small and a medium. So they were able to order it, and 2 weeks later I got it, and then I even bought a double one in case something happened. Because I got two. It's medium, and I got two of them. So in case something happened to this one, I'd have the other one as a spare. So that's how I came to write the story. The top came before the story. The top inspired the story.
Thank you.
Got a question?
My question is for the first story. I just wanted to know what really, in the moment where you had the second experience in New York, kind of drew you back to that first experience, if that makes sense.
That does make sense, and thank you. It was only a couple of weeks ago when I realized that the later experience in Manhattan was not my first New York story. And I remembered that long ago day when I hit the slum in Brooklyn. I said, that means that I have to rewrite this story. I really didn't. I just said, you have to talk first about your just out of college experience and then weave it into part two. So they belong together, and it was just stupidity on my part that I didn't weave them until real recently. Thanks for the question.
I love that question too, because oral stories are alive, and that they change and grow every time we tell them. Every time there's a new audience, it might be a little different, and sometimes they get outgrown and we rewrite them or we add something new. So it's fun. It's kind of like this exhibit with time. Every time he comes by, he paints it, and it's a whole new piece of art. So other questions out there? Oh. Coming with the mic.
So I want to know, like, what's your book about and what is it called?
My book is called 10 Fractured Fairy Tales. And I love fairy tales, but you can't tell fairy tales to adults, and I tell a lot of my stories to adults. Right. So I figured, well, if I fractured them, that would make them relevant, and I can make them modern, and I can make them appropriate for adults. So fractured fairy tale, for those of you who don't know, if anybody doesn't know what they are, you probably all do, having taken a course with Dr. Ying. But anyway, for those who don't, a fractured fairy tale is a classic fairy tale that keeps the basic plot and characters of the original story, but changes it in unexpected ways, giving it a modern perspective and ironic twist. And there are ones that are in the modern media, like West Side Story is a fractured version of Romeo and Juliet, and Wicked is a fractured version of The Wizard of Oz. And let's see what other fractured fairy tale. Oh, and there's Tangled. It's a Walt Disney fractured version of Rapunzel, right? Yeah. So I did fractured versions of 10 different fairy tales, nice. And I put them in my book. So that's what it's about.
Oh, that's lovely. I'd love to read it one day.
Available on Amazon. You can read.
Oh, great. Now I know.
The story of Ugly Cindy and the Magical Glass Slippers, or The Menopausal Princess, or The Rumpelstiltskin Rap.
Thank you.
Brady, you had a question. Here you go.
Where does this guild convene, and when the guild is not convening, is there any way to submit stories for a more professional opinion on the creator's storytelling?
I'm going to pass this on to our unofficial president of the Tamiami Tale Tellers, who organizes all our events.
Hi, my name is Marilyn Graham, and we have our meetings the third Thursday of every month from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock at the All Faiths Church on McGregor Boulevard, which is right just a little bit south of where the Edison Ford home is. And everybody is welcome to come. You can come as a teller or a listener. And we usually have about 10 people there, roughly. And we never know who's going to show up, so you're always welcome if you can come. Now, as far as, I we don't really have the capacity to critique your material if you're not there, because we don't do anything. We have we had our meetings on Zoom during COVID, but we started doing it live again. So I don't have a good answer to your question about critiquing your material if you can't come. So.
But you can take this wonderful class with Dr. Joel at your
Yes, that you can
tell
do.
your stories.
What?
Any other
Oh yeah,
questions?
one more thing I want to tell you. So we have an annual event that is called Telebration, and these wonderful people that told stories today, plus several others, will be telling, and that is the Saturday before Thanksgiving, November 22nd, from 2 to 4 in the afternoon at Peace Community Church, which is on Pine Ridge Road in Fort Myers Beach. And Dr. Joel can tell you all about that too, so because he's going to be one of our storytellers also.
And Telebration is a worldwide event, actually, that weekend before Thanksgiving. All around the world, people will be telling stories, so we'll have events. Other questions?
Okay, so for the no small part story, I think everybody here thought you were hilarious, obviously. And so I want to know, if you like ever did any more plays or more acting, because you definitely should.
Well, I produced Bad Girls of the Bible, and some of our members, put up your hands. These are some of the members. I played Jezebel and Delilah, and they made, yes. I don't always look like this. I'm a glamour puss, and this is just so not me, but I wanted to be true to my character. And what role do you play? Eve. And
I played Lilith, the first woman, and
So she claims.
and Mary Magdalene.
And I was Rahab and Bathsheba.
yes, so it's really fascinating, and we did, how many seasons? We did 3, I think, 3 seasons, and we were looking, yes. So we were looking for more venues. However, none of us are marketeers. We don't know how to market, so we haven't done any more. But if you hear of somebody or in your church or in your organization want to do it, we're up for grabs. In full regalia, yes. Thank you for asking.
Other questions?
Hi. So I wanted to know what compelled you to tell the story that you told, and like, is that the original folktale, or did you change some things? Like, what is the original story?
It's pretty true to the original. I changed the beginning a little bit and added a few of the bad luck pieces to add a little fun to it. But actually, it's pretty true to the original. I've heard a couple people tell it different ways. And my friend Carmen Didi, who's a lovely storyteller, says to gather all the when you find a folktale that really speaks to you, like there's just something of truth in it, and you just know that there's something that resonates with you and you want to share it with other people, to like gather all the versions that you can find, bring it down to its core, and then build it back up to the version that you like. I didn't do that. I found someone's I found one version that I liked, and I heard other people tell it. What was funny is I didn't recognize it when other people told it, but when I heard this guy, I was like, oh, that's such a great story. And so imitation is the greatest form of flattery, right? So I learned the story that I found in a YouTube video, and I thought, oh, what a great story. And then I started telling it and embellishing it and changing it to the way I like to tell stories and what made sense to me. So.
Thank you.
Other thoughts? Oh. Oh, good question.
I have a question for our MC. Could I have a minute? Okay. How did you come up with those answers that Prince Llewellyn and Prince Owen, particularly Prince Owen, gave?
I've done this 3 times now. I did it a long, long time ago, but yours is the only one that I keep. Owen wanting to keep you because he thinks you're adorable, but all the others, if you've listened, I've changed it every time because I can't remember what I said before, so I have to listen to think about what would Owen say, what would Prince Llewellyn say.
They're very good yeah, very interesting answers.
The live art of storytelling. It's lovely. Well, let's get another round of applause for all of our storytellers. For everyone here, I want to thank you for coming. I also want to invite you to the website FGCUstorytelling.com. That's FGCUstorytelling.com. Easy to remember. It has the full schedule. And our next event, I think, is October 22nd. I will be telling stories. And then we have Kim Whitecamp the next week doing, she's an amazing storyteller. She's going to do a night of spooky stories for us. She'll also do, it seems kind of weird, she'll also do stories of kindness. And she's going to do a workshop as well for transforming your story. So when you have a story or gone through a difficult time, how do you transform that story into something that you can tell to folks like policymakers and other people to change minds and change hearts. So how to use your story that way. So she's going to do a workshop as well. And then we have Kuniko Yamamoto, a Japanese storyteller, telling origami stories and also family stories from Japan. Also pretty amazing. So we have a bunch of things this semester, and also you can see the schedule for next semester when Sheila Arnold will be back and Josh Goforth. Sheila Arnold is just amazing storyteller. She's going to be telling stories of the Underground Railroad and other stories of the African American tradition. And Josh Goforth is from Appalachia, and he's a musician. I think he started playing at 4 years old, and he plays like 20 instruments or some number like that. But he's going to do sort of an Appalachian storytelling music thing, and he's just amazing. So we have some amazing lineup of people, and I hope you'll stay in touch for storytelling. Thank you all again for coming.